Greetings, 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 greetings. Oh, here we go. Yay, we are live. Yay. All right, y'all, let's talk about this. Are you born with an entrepreneurial mindset? No, we're not, right? We have to develop this. So, we're going to talk about that today, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am first, and then we can get into the meat of today's training. I am Mia Lamott, image consultant, personal brand strategist, and also a transformation coach. And when I got into entrepreneurial ventures, I realized really quickly I still had employee mentality. Even though I knew deep down I had what it took to become an entrepreneur, I still had employee mentality. And some days it shows up. And when it shows up for me, I acknowledge it and then I let it go. So here's one of the things that I want to talk about today. I'm going to give you guys 7 characteristics that you need to develop in order to strengthen your entrepreneurial mindset. But also, I'm going to talk about a couple myths that are out there and then what you can do to help yourself in order to do this. When you're trying to develop this mindset, you definitely want to think about the kind of person that's an amazing entrepreneur. They can overcome challenges. They think outside the box. They make quick decisions. So they're super decisive. I've worked with a lot of people who can't make up their minds about what they want, how they want to do it, who they want to work with. And those kinds of folks are the folks that don't have the kind of success that they want. So if you want to be good at becoming an entrepreneur, you really need to make decisive. You need to be decisive, make decisions, accept responsibility for outcomes. And when I mean responsibility, I'm also talking about like you get to be accountable for whatever happens in your life, no matter what it is. And we'll talk a little bit about that. You want to always be improving or growing. Otherwise, you're dying. If you're not improving or growing, you're dying. Think about plants. You're a living being. You're a human being. And if you're not being and living into that, you're dying. And then finally, you got to take actions on your ideas. There's so many people out there who get these nudges from the universe or from God, whatever you want to call your higher self. You get these nudges, but then you don't act on them. And then you wonder why you're so miserable. It's when we take the action, when we take that inspired action as entrepreneurs, that's when the world opens up to us. All right, guys, so let's get going. Number 1, if you do this work, if you're willing to do the work, you can have the mindset of an entrepreneur. So the number 1 thing you got to do, get rid of self-doubt. Self-doubt will take you out of the game before you've even started. I remember when I started this journey and I felt like I didn't know enough. I felt like I wasn't enough. And I felt like I didn't know how to move forward, even though I had a coach telling me what to do. I felt like, oh, she knows what she's doing because she's been doing this for so long. But it was more about my self-doubt and thinking that I could actually do what she was doing. So if you have the self-doubt, you have to work through those. You got to work through that self-doubt. And the way you work through self-doubt is to get into action. You have to get into action. Entrepreneurs that get into action, they're the ones that make things happen for themselves. So if that's you, get into action. If you have self-doubt, work on that self-talk, right? The things that you tell yourself are the things that come true for you. So if you say to yourself, you're not good enough, guess what? That's going to become true for you. So make sure that you're getting rid of that self-doubt. It is nothing but a saboteur, and it does nothing for you. So you have the ability to think 2 thoughts. You can think a self-defeating thought, or you can think about one that's gonna empower you. So you want to make sure that self-doubt is obliterated because it is the one thing that can kill your entrepreneurial spirit. All right, let's kill it. All right, now let's get into the top 7 characteristics that you need to have in order to become a successful entrepreneur. The first one that I have, guys, decisive. You gotta be decisive. You have to be quick with the decisions that you're making for yourself. And I don't mean quick, uninformed decisions. I mean informed decisions that lend to where you say you want to go. What does that mean, Mia? Okay, let's talk about it, guys. I am not going to enroll in a course to learn how to make widgets because it's going to take me off of my game. I don't teach widgets. I don't teach how to become a widget maker. Why would I join a course to do that, right? That decision would not be $1 million decision, right? That would not be a disruptor kind of decision. So you want to make sure that the decisions that you're making are propelling you into the land that you want to go into. The other thing I want to tell you about being decisive is that if you don't make a decision, that's also a decision. So being indecisive is also a decision. You're deciding to let something else or someone else um, seal your fate. One of the best things that you can do to build this decision muscle is to go into restaurants and begin to be decisive with your order. I'm super decisive about what I want. I always know, I typically know before I even get to the restaurant if I know that I'm going to the restaurant. A lot of times we're already prepared to go wherever we're going, but sometimes I'm surprised, like I was for my birthday. But even then, I didn't even have to look at the menu. I heard what the specials were and I knew what kind of restaurant I was in. Plus, I'd seen some other people's food. I already knew what I wanted. So you have to become a really great decider. Get into the habit of making decisions and then get into the habit of making great decisions that are going to propel you to where you want to go. That's number one. Number two, discipline. You gotta get some discipline. You gotta get discipline around your boundaries. You gotta get discipline around your calendar. You gotta get discipline around your health. You gotta get discipline around your relationships. Like you gotta become very disciplined in order to become a great entrepreneur. Most entrepreneurs that I know have a morning routine like myself. It involves exercise, meditation, reading, um, um, what else am I doing? Reading, exercise, meditation, writing, right? Writing down ideas and really synthesizing things that you've learned or things that you want to learn and just like going for it. But you have to be able to discipline yourself in order to get there. Look, the food that you're eating is part of your discipline. Like, stop eating crap. Why are you feeding yourself crap? It's not going to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. It might feel good in the moment, but it's not going to help you at all. Trust me. I know the first year that I was in, that I started working for my own business, I gained a lot of weight. And I gained that weight because I was so uncomfortable with who I was and who I was becoming that I had to numb myself out. So if you're doing that, be cognizant of it and start to develop a disciplined habit of making sure that you're taking care of your health. Because if you don't take care of your health, you have nothing else. Nothing. Oh, I want to go back to decisions, guys. The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker is one of my favorite books, and it's also an amazing book about decision and making decisions. So if you need help in that area, please, please, please get that book. Discipline. One of the books that changed it for me was the 5 a.m. Club. Everybody's not a morning person. I tried to get Sanford, my significant other, to do this 5 a.m. club with me, and he wasn't feeling it. He's not a morning person, and I don't need to make him a morning person in order for us to have a great relationship or for us to get these principles down. But for him, you know, getting up that early in the morning actually drained his energy. For me, I'm ready to go. I can roll out of bed around 3, maybe 4, depending on what time I went to sleep, and just be raring to go. It takes him a minute to get into it. So you have to know yourself. You have to know your body, know what you want. But the 5 a.m. club, the principles is what I want you guys to like really lean into. And that one's by Robin Sharma. Lean into the principles because it really talks about how to focus, how to create this kind of routine for yourself. And if you are a member, or if you're interested, Make Time Your Bitch is one of the trainings that I have. It's a free training. And I talk about the 5 a.m. Club a lot. Like I break down the book for you. So you don't even have to read it. Number 3, confidence. You got to learn the confidence. So whatever skills you're lacking in, go get them. But make sure that they're in your zone of genius. And if you don't know what that is, I highly recommend that you find out. I did a training on this. I did a training on that in this group, a 2-part series. I also have a podcast about it. And I highly recommend that you take some assessments to get to know yourself better. And my favorite one is the Clifton Strengths 34. And like amazing, game changer. Loved everything about it. So your strengths is your brand. So if you don't know what they are, then you don't really know what your brand is. So I highly recommend that you get to know yourself really well. That was number 3. Number 4 is accountability. Like, get super accountable. I mentioned this earlier, but being accountable does not blame you for things that have happened. Being accountable means that you can trace your steps back and say, oh, you know what? That's why this worked. And oh, you know what? That's why this didn't work. So when you can do that, especially as an entrepreneur, it's going to help you to take shortcuts and make quantum leaps in the future. So once you can develop that skill and develop that habit of being accountable, it's going to take you much, much shorter time to get things done and to make stuff happen for yourself. So getting accountable is probably one of the greatest skills that you can develop for yourself. Like, get accountable, hold yourself accountable, and hold the people around you accountable, right? This is highly transformative. This principle is highly transformative. When you can stop being a victim in your own life, and trust me, I've played the victim card plenty. And I can see it in other people, and it annoys the shit out of me when I see it in other people because I don't like it in myself, right? So when you see yourself playing the victim, like, how do you become accountable? Those are the questions you need to be asking yourself, right? Stop making excuses. No more passing the buck and blaming others. Take accountability and keep it moving. Keep it moving. This is going to help you take shortcuts, and also help you to transform how you see yourself. All right, so we're at number 5. Number 5 is all about focus. I got to tell y'all, I was lacking in this one for sure. Like, focus was really hard for me because I have shiny object syndrome. And when I see someone else doing something, I'm like, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. Mm-mm. You need to get focused on where you're going and stay focused. Like, put your blinders on, like at the horse race, put your blinders on, because you need to see what other people are doing, but you need to stay focused on what you're doing. Figure that out, stay in your lane, let's do it. Like, go and get that stuff done. All right. Entrepreneurs, like, we have lots of ideas. So for me, I'm constantly generating ideas, and I have to get my business manager to say to me, no, no, you do not. We're not implementing this idea right now. We said we were working on X, and this is what we're going to do. And so I need her to keep me focused, but then we put those ideas on the back burner. And then when we come back to them, like, we have a list of things that we're going to do. So you stay focused, you're going to get to your goal a whole lot faster than if you are going everywhere in every direction. Like, stay focused and stay on task. This word has been thrown around a lot lately. And, we are like this. We do, a lot of us have this skill, but we also want to make sure that we're not using it to our detriment. But you have got to become resilient. So resilience is characteristic number 6. Resiliency means, like, you can fall down, but you get back up. And sometimes when you fall down, you do have to take a break because of mental health, because of like, maybe you're just in pain, maybe you're sick. So you get to take your break, but you also get to get started again. People who get up from when they fall down, those are the ones that actually are successful. You can't fall down and say, you know what, I tried, but it didn't work for me. That doesn't help. That's not going to help you to become a great entrepreneur. Not at all. You have to be able to fall down and get back up and fall down and get back up and fall down and get back up. Just use it as a, the metaphor I love to use with this is walking. Like we wouldn't know how to walk if we decided that when we fell that first time, we were not getting back up. So as an entrepreneur, you have to build that muscle. You build that resiliency muscle and your success is going to come your way. It, it, it's inevitable. You have to keep getting up in order to get to where you're going. All right. And my favorite, this one is, it's my favorite because it was one of the things that I probably was most challenged in. And you're going to laugh because it's what I actually do for a living, right? You got to be coachable. So coachability is the 7th characteristic that you've got to develop in order to become a great entrepreneur. Most entrepreneurs have a mentor. And if you don't have one, you're just like flailing in the wind. And guess what? You're not going to get to where you're trying to go if you're doing that. So you need a mentor, but you also need to listen to your mentor. So I have, since I've been doing this work, like I didn't have a mentor when it came to my career when I was in public administration, right? But as soon as I got into business for myself, I've always had a mentor. I've always had a coach. And that's been, gosh, guys, that's been over 11 years that always had a coach. I might take a break for a month or two, depending on the coach, depending on the intensity of the coaching program. But I've always had a coach. I've always had somebody I've looked up to and emulated some of the things that they've taught me. So you want to make sure that first you get a coach, but then you have to be coachable. Listen to your coach, listen to the ideas. Yes, some things will work for you and some won't. So take what works and then leave the rest. But also ask your coach why. Ask your coach why she's telling you to do certain things, or why are you wanting me to focus on this one product instead of 10 products, right? Ask the questions, find out the why, and then move forward. If the why works for you, take what she said. If it doesn't, then refute it. Like, let's talk about this, right? But you have to be coachable. You have to be willing to not be right. You have to be willing to not look good. You have to be willing to jump out of your comfort zone in order to be coachable. You just have to do that. Let's see. I also think that there's some people who get aspirational coaches and they're not ready for that yet. I have the experience of working with coaches on many, many levels. And one of the coaches that I had was probably an overreach for me, right? And what I mean by overreach is that I aspired to be like this coach, but she was basically out of my league. And while I learned so much from this woman, I wasn't ready for that yet. I needed to take a step back and like know where you are. Find a coach that is 2 to 3 steps ahead of you because it's going to be the freshest for them. They're going to be able to relate to you the most. And if you're looking for someone who is at a higher level, then go to that higher level. But you also want to be willing to pay for that. The people who have invested in themselves, the people who have the experience, the people who have the social proof, the people who have the receipts, that's who you want to work with. You want people that are going to be transparent about where they are, people who are transparent about the things that they've been through to get to where they are. And that is the kind of coach that I love working with. And I didn't realize that until I had one. So you want to make sure that your coach is 2 to 3 steps ahead of you. And also you want to make sure that your coach is transparent. Ask your coach those hard questions. Get in their face. And I don't mean that to be in a disrespectful way. But if they're not telling you up front and you have to get in their face to ask the questions, then you might want to reconsider your coach. That's what I appreciate in a coach. And I think that my clients appreciate that about me, because I tell them the truth about where I am. I tell them the truth about where I've been. And I also talk about, like, I understand struggle, right? I understand struggle from the entrepreneurial point of view, but it doesn't have to be that way. And I needed to understand that. And I needed to understand the metaphysical and the transformational pieces before, after I got out of struggle mindset. There's a step that was missing for me. And so I teach that to my clients too. Yeah, so don't be so eager to step so high that you stunt your growth. Don't try to run before you, and you're crawling, right? If you try to run before you start walking, you're gonna fail. So steps, baby steps, and then you make quantum leaps. Like, the quantum leaps come from you taking those baby steps initially and then rocketing yourself forward. That's how it happens. All right. So those were the 7 characteristics. I'm going to go over them again, right? The first one is decisiveness. Be good at making decisions. Get great at making decisions. Let me take that back. Get great at making decisions. Number 2, discipline. Create really great disciplines, daily disciplines. You got to have it. You're not going to be successful without discipline. Number 3, confidence. Get you some. Go get some confidence. Figure out who you are and be unapologetic about that. Go get some confidence. Number 4, be accountable. Be accountable to yourself. Accountability is key. Number 5, focus and stay focused. Don't get caught up in what everybody else is doing. Resiliency. Work that resiliency muscle. When you get up, when you fall down, get back up. Take a break, take a rest, take a weekend, take a beat, take a day, take a walk, but get your ass back on the horse. And finally, number 7, coachability. So be coachable. Look for a mentor, look for a coach, and be coachable. That's how you develop an entrepreneur mindset. So here are a couple of misconceptions about entrepreneurship that I've seen, and I have them written down here. I keep looking at my notes, guys, because that's what I'm doing. Here are the myths. Entrepreneurs are born hustlers. We got to get out of this hustle mentality. Like, for me, hustling meant like digging ditches and hard work and sweating and like being out in the sun, because that's what I saw my family do. I come from a family of contractors, and that's what they were doing. They were always outdoors building things. My grandfather was a farmer, so he was growing things. And that's not an entrepreneur mindset. Hustling is not entrepreneur mindset. Hustling is a worker mentality. You're a worker if you're hustling, okay? You just bought yourself a new job and you have a horrible boss because you're your boss, right? Quit hustling. Learn how to use this to leverage the work piece. All right. You need to be different to have success. With $1 million ideas, yes. Or is it a $1 million question? You have to have $1 million questions to get the success. Ideas are amazing, right? I just told you I generate ideas all day long. But if I'm not asking the right questions about where to go to next or what's the next step, then I'm losing. The people that I'm mentoring are losing. The people that I'm coaching are losing. So you want to make sure that you're asking the right questions and ask better questions, right? Ask better questions for yourself. You got to be a tech genius. That's a myth, guys. I'm not a tech genius by no means. I have developed the skill to work my way around Zoom and around Instagram and things like that, but it's not my wheelhouse. So guess what I do? I farmed that stuff out. I've learned what I needed to learn in order to be functional, but then I farmed everything else out because I know that it's a better use of my time for me to be doing this, talking to you guys, than for me to be worried about how to get into Instagram and how to do that. And then you can't succeed if it's not full time. Total BS. It's going to be harder, right? You're going to be working more hours, yes, but you can totally do this on a part-time basis. You can totally do this on the weekends, but you have to be focused and you have to remember all of the characteristics that are needed in order to do this. So you can absolutely do this, guys. Mastering an entrepreneurial mindset is totally doable and it's for you if you want it. So I want you to think about, like, you can't do this by yourself, right? You have to get some help. So whether it's mastermind partners, whether it's a business bestie, whether it's a mentor or a coach, which I highly recommend, you get way more out of something when you pay for it. Okay. Which is why I opened up and created this group called the Disruptor Society. In this group, I help women to discover their brands because I know that without that, you won't have the confidence that you need to become an entrepreneur. You won't be able to create the brand that's going to stand out for other people. You won't be able to say to others, this is what I do for a living. This is who I am, and not back down from that. You won't have that if you don't know who you are at your core and you don't know how you want to project yourself in the world. And that's what we do in Disruptor Society. I help you to figure that out. And I'm going to put the link in this live for you guys, because I know that you really need to hone in on who you are and double down on that. I was talking to someone at at a retreat that I was speaking at this past weekend. And one of the things she said was, I live in, I forget what town she lived in, but my vibe is totally Miami. So I don't really dress like that because it's not what's warranted here. And I'm like, what? Like, you get to be you. If you're Miami and you live in Kentucky, you get to be Miami all day long. Like, you don't have to conform to Kentucky ways of being. Like, if you want to be Lexington, I think Lexington might be a place in Kentucky. I don't really know. But if Miami is your vibe, then you be Miami. Stand out. Like, don't be afraid to stand out, guys. Because if you're afraid to stand out, you're already out of the game. You're already out of the game. The other thing that I want to talk to you guys about is that in Disruptor Society, like, you either need to be a member of Disruptor Society or Brand Disruptors, which is my group coaching program. You guys can attend my retreat that's happening in December, and it's all about mastering money, because you can't have a significant brand if you don't have any money, right? So if you want to attend that, you got to be a member of one of those two. So Disruptor Society, Brand Disruptors. I'll just put the link to my website here so you guys can go through whatever it is that you want to go through and see what works best for you. Again, we're going to be talking about mastering money in December, because what I know is that you cannot grow as a business, as a person, as an entrepreneur, if you have no cash. So cash, credit, money. And then that's also another mindset, right? You have to change the way you think about money in order to have lots of it. So I know you guys will love it. So I hope that you can join us. And I hope that today's session was super helpful for you. And like, I enjoy putting this together. This is like one of my gifts. Like, I like to put things together to present them to people. And like, you need to know what your gifts are. So go and find them out. Come and join us in Brand Disruptors or the Disruptor Society. And I'll be happy to help you out, and be so great to meet you. So take care and lots of love.